You on TD Ka?
ไม่ใช่งานและ
Is that what I'm talking about? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how I personally went from dead end fast food jobs, garbage truck job, and freaking sales career that lasted like 3 or 4 years until I finally became an entrepreneur for real instead of just pretending like I was. So basically, bro, got into sales, learned sales, got good at building a business, got good at recruiting, building an agency, building a 7 figure a year insurance business, and then the things that was going on in my life whenever I did that was like when I went from like my regular garbage truck job to like selling in the office, I was like, finally, like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Like, I have control over my income now. I thought I had it all figured out until I realized I did not have it all figured out. Don't be afraid to realize that you don't have it all figured out, even at the highest point in your life, because like every day I'm like, oh shit, okay, I have it more figured out than I did yesterday, and that's the real goal, right? So, um, getting into that business was like, it was a blessing. It was life changing. A lot of very, very sufferable moments are obviously life changing if you just can man up and have accountability to use life circumstances for what they're meant for and adversities. Um, right? So learned sales was great. Learned the basics of business, and then was like, okay, cool. Now that I'm like $50,000 in debt with all kinds of roll up debt and all kinds of chargebacks, and I'm paying 10K a month in lead cost and acquisition cost and things like that. And I got an upline, and I got a this, and I got to follow these things. I'm in the office for 12 hours a day. Did that for years, bro. Like, and like, do I have any regrets? Not really. I wish I would have done what I do now years ago, for sure. I mean, anyone that's in a position like this that has like a lot more time freedom and locational freedom and income freedom and leverage over their actual success and results wishes that they started years ago. Obviously, like the best time to plant a tree was 5 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is now. So understanding that, it's like, do I regret it? um, Not really, because if I would have just like jumped straight into like a super successful business model like I am now years ago, without learning, in my opinion, like the proper discernment and relationship with God and how to actually cultivate like the man I want to be behind it, it wouldn't be the same, bro. It wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't even have the gratitude or the discernment or the fulfillment or the joy or the like. I wouldn't have even been guided to the right things. I mean, commit your words to the Lord and your thoughts will be established, right? So I just think by doing it, by everything playing out the way that it did, um, was great. But I can say that yes, I could have shortcutted the entire process. Like I don't personally have regrets, but there is a way that you don't have to actually spend 4, 5, 6 years to get where you want to go, and that's called proper direction, sense of actual guidance, mentorship, and the right mentorship as well. Cannot avoid all decoy matrix agents as best as possible, because there's a ton of them teaching you like toxic hustle culture and you're gonna get rich by working hard. That's all super fake. And if anyone wants to know why I think it's fake, I'd be glad to like break it down to where a 5 year old can understand, and that there's no one in the world that would disagree with me based on getting the information. So before anyone jumps to conclusions and says like, oh, it's because of this and that and this and that and this, I've never met anyone that, after hearing my explanation, could ever disagree, especially when it comes to things I've lived years worth of experiences, right? Like it's impossible. So I'm literally telling you, there will be people that come to you offering you like an opportunity or like a sales gig, or like if it has anything to do with working for somebody else, don't do it. If it has anything to do with hard work gets you rich, avoid that. And if it has anything to do with like a matrix job, obviously avoid that, right? We already know that. It's a given. But truthfully though, having the right mentorship and guidance though will absolutely speed run the process. Like, I could be where I'm at now 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe something like that, right? But I would have had to really, really be open minded enough to accept constructive criticism and actually listen and actually implement and actually have the mental capacity to understand the reasons behind the answers that I want in life, right? Because like in the Bible, in the Sermon on the Mount, right? Like Jesus said, "Seek and you shall find; knock, the door will be open to you; ask and you shall receive." It does say that, and I'll tell you 1,000% that is very true. But something I came to find out a long time ago was like, what about if people don't know what they're looking for, right? Seek and you shall find, but like, seek what to find what? You know what I mean? Knock and the door will be open to you. Like, what door and like what's expected to be on the other side of it that would entice me to knock on it? Things like that, bro. Is like, that's just the thing. Is like, if I could be shown like what I should have been seeking, then I definitely would have like sought out and followed the blueprint of whatever life I was trying to achieve, right? So I'm saying that like it doesn't actually take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Sometimes it just takes some people 2, 3, 4, 5 years because like they're not already trained and like open mind to what they're even supposed to be seeking to seek it. Like if I was seeking the mentorship that I've received to do what I do now, if I sought it a few years ago, me personally, I was very hard-headed and stubborn and didn't listen, and I wasn't as open-minded to like possibilities. So I probably would not have gained the same amount of value from the same mentorship as I do now, being like ready to receive, ready to receive, knowing what I'm looking for, knowing what I actually want out of life, things like that. Those things are things that I do focus on, like in my mentorship and when I teach people, is I do start with like the who, what, when, where, and why before we get into like, actually creating the asset that's going to be the financial part of it. And this isn't something that takes long. It can be done in literally a day. It'll blow your freaking mind how much you can really reverse engineer, like step by step, like who are you, like what are you looking for, like what's your goals, what do you want out of life, and we reverse engineer it down to like, okay, so by being this person that naturally does these things, like it results in having the outcome be, do, have, right? So you don't need money to do the things that will make you be who you want to be. And I teach people how to flip that entirely, and then the financial part just comes so much easier because the biggest thing, the main thing that I teach is acquisition marketing for any online business. It works with like e-com agencies, coaches, consultants, essentially selling anything you can think of online, whether it be courses, mentorship, products, running ads for service-based businesses, SaaS, anything, right? Web design, SEO, the list goes on. It all works. Revenue to attention is the skill set I teach. I don't know if I said that backwards, but attention to revenue. I might have said revenue to attention, but attention to revenue is a duplicatable, scalable, reverse engineerable skill that puts the leverage in your hands. It takes it, you can take it anywhere across the world with any business. It works because it works. It makes money because it makes sense, and it's needed by everyone. So that's what I teach. And on top of that, I teach like, going from point A to point B to point Z from wherever that looks like for you. And yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit more about my story, a little bit about more like what I do, and just letting the viewers know I'm going to be documenting this stuff a lot more, just trying to hold myself accountable to being consistent. And long story short, like whenever I figured that stuff out and I got into acquisition, what worked for me was just jumping in there, just taking the jump, getting the first few clients, whether it was from organic or paid ads, either way it works. And then just kind of guinea pig in the process, but not just trying shit out, but more or less staying strict to like non-negotiables and staying strict to delivering quality work, not being an over perfectionist, but making sure that I'm not just throwing shit at a wall and see what sticks, really trying to develop the skills and really working my ass off to get the knowledge needed to be good at what I do. and that was able to create a life for me that didn't require to be in person at an office or a job or have an upline or have a manager clock in anywhere. There is no clock in, right? And it's very scalable, duplicatable, very high in demand. And, it made for me like my first 5 to 10,000 in my first like independently owned online business in the first month I made that. So that's what I'm doing that's what I'm doing for people, is showing them how to make their first 5 to 10K strictly online by their own hands, so that they can have, whatever they want, scale from there. So I'll leave a like link in the description of this video to my Instagram where you can personally message me directly, and I'll get back to you. I answer all my own DMs, but I'll put my Instagram in the description, and let's chat there. And you can even see a little bit more because I post a lot more on Instagram than I do on YouTube. So we can chop it up. Just make sure to hit that. Come back to Instagram. I can send you some more videos. Sharing and showing like exactly how it works. I'm just documenting the journey. So reach out to me. Boom, let's get it.